compounding is great because you can accumulate large gains over a long period of time. There's another way that you can magnify or amplify the gains that you get via compounding. And this is a concept called leverage. Okay, now, probably best to teach this one through an example. Okay. Let's say you have a sum of money, let's say $20,000.
Great.
And you decide, I'm going to invest this in a house.
Okay.
And I expect the house to, have this particular rate of return. Let's say we're going to rent it out. We expect this rate of return based on how much we're spending and how much we're making over a period of 10 years. Okay. Now, what you could do is take that $20,000 and invest it as the down payment and get a mortgage on a single house. Okay? So, let's say it's a, $200,000 house. You put $20,000 down and great. You have a house that will return X amount. Okay. Leverage says, all right, how could we borrow more to create more opportunities to get that return? Okay, so let's say you take that $20,000 that you have in capital or as a down payment and you split it in 4. So you put $5,000 down in 4 different properties, each of which are $200,000.
Okay.
So now you've put down still the $20,000, but you've borrowed $800,000.
Yeah, you're like leveraged to the hilt now.
Yes, but now you have 4 properties that you expect will produce this return.
If all goes well.
Yes. So if all goes well, you have quadrupled your return. Okay, that's leverage. Now, leverage works on the upside, so it magnifies. So the more you borrow, the more you gain, the more you multiply your returns. The more you borrow, though, if you lose something, it magnifies your gains, but it also magnifies your losses. Okay, so let's say you end up losing money on each of these properties, and they're worth, let's say, half of what you bought it for.
Ouch.
Well, you still owe $800,000. Okay, that's a tricky situation to be in. Okay, now, and actually, as a historical note, one of the reasons that the banking crisis of late 2008 and early 2009 happened was because banks had leveraged themselves in their investments, not just 4 to 1, anywhere between 30 to 40 to 1. Okay, so what would happen is the price of a particular security or company would go up 2%. And they would make hundreds of millions of dollars, which is great when things are going well. But, if the price declines 2%, they also lose hundreds of thousands of, or hundreds of millions of dollars. And, going back to purchasing power, they magnified themselves so much that loss essentially would have eaten up all of the purchasing power that they would have had. And these massive, multi-billion-dollar institutions would have closed. They had no money to pay their debts. So leverage is kind of like rocket fuel. It can really boost you if you use it well, but it can also make everything blow up if it's not used well. And so, there's personally, using leverage is by nature a risky thing. Because usually when you're using leverage, you're predicting that a particular thing is going to go well for you. And if it doesn't, well, that's not so good.
Right.
So, there's actually, in a book that's on the personal MBA reading list called Fail-Safe Investing by Harry Brown. And there's a quote. Harry Brown has a number of investing rules.
Okay.
And rule number 7 applies to leverage.
Okay.
And this is actually something that we try to live by, because it may not, you may not be able to, magnify your returns into the stratosphere if Lady Luck blesses you with everything going well. But Harry Brown's rule number 7 is don't work with borrowed money. When someone goes completely broke, it's almost always because he used borrowed money. In many cases, the individual was already quite rich, but he wanted to pyramid his fortune with borrowed money. And using margin accounts or mortgages for other than your home puts you at risk to lose more than your original investment.
Oh, yeah.
If you handle all your investments on a cash basis, it's virtually impossible to lose everything, no matter what might happen in the world. And the classic textbook example of this is my good friend Donald Trump.
Oh, yes. Good friend.
Donald? Yeah. What the Donald did is he actually came from a very wealthy family, and his buildings, his hotels, his casinos, his resorts, all of those things that have the big, golden T on it, were built using borrowed money. And Donald Trump has actually gone or come very close to becoming bankrupt multiple times. His casinos have been seized by creditors. He has either lost or almost lost everything many, many times. And that's because he borrows a hell of a lot of money.
Wow. And
not only does he use that to, build all of these things, he also uses it to live on. And so, the helicopter, all of these things are built using leveraged returns, which is great when everything goes well.
Right.
But when things start not going well, that leverage also magnifies the losses. And so, this is one of the things that if someone is selling some type of get-rich-quick scheme, or real estate investing, or margin investing, or all of those things, 9 times out of 10, the proposition is, well, take a little bit of your money, borrow a lot of money, use that to do this uncertain, risky thing, and if everything goes well, you'll be an instant millionaire. And if something goes wrong, you will be an instant bankrupt person. And so, as a general rule, treat leverage as you would dynamite. It is potentially valuable if you use it in the right way. If you use it without understanding the risks or the drawbacks or the uncertainties in it, then you can also lose a lot just as quickly as you have brought it in.
Okay.
That's leverage.